that's what North Node Gemini is about right now. And I think that it's about getting that info. And so it's going to be definitely complicated times. So I think if you're ready, I think we should go in that collective reading and spit out some astrology real quick so you get a better understanding from that front, just overall. I won't do the astrology on every sun sign. That's what you can get on High Vibe. But then, of course, I do the tarot and see what's going on with your love life from that. And I might interject some astrology in there. Depends on what's going on, of course. And we do have a live chat. So if you're on highvibe.tv, make sure that you use the high chat, or use the high chat. It is a High Vibe chat, you know? Or just use the chat on the website or the mobile web. Or if you're on YouTube right now, definitely we see you in the chat too on there as well. And you're wondering like, oh, like what's up with the Leo King's energy? My chart is being like bombarded through this. So I'm just, I'm not cruising for a bruising. I'm more like bruising through the cruising. I mean, that's a good one, right? Bruising through the cruising.
Not hurting for a squirting.
I like that one better, but yeah, so it's been challenging in my own life. I mean, I'm blessed, just it's been, yeah, it's just part of life. And if I know people out there are going through all unique, different challenges and stuff, but, we all have to just keep showing up. And there was a part of me tonight, and we spent all here at the studios. Like, I was not going to show up to do the show. And then I just was like, I got to show up and do this stuff. I mean, the 9-year anniversary is coming up of every day, every week, literally. So, except for that 1 week I was out last year. And that's it, out of 9 years. So, even when it's crazy in your chart, there's always a way to show up in life, and that's it's not easy, but I really don't even know how to describe how I feel. It's just more like when you get all the planets literally pretty much in transit right now to your chart, exactly opposing and squaring and all that all at the same time. I mean, you feel trapped. You feel energetically like blocked, or you kind of feel like a lack, or you just feel, it just kind of feels like, ugh. And maybe overall, I mean, we're seeing that in the zodiac, although there's some people that are thriving under this vibe, right? Like Aquarius is definitely not an energy in my chart, so I feel like, I'm not gonna ever say that I feel like the world's lost its heart, right? I feel like we all got heart and there's love everywhere and it never goes away. I think it's very hard for somebody like me, just seeing a lot of, just like nonstop, just like attacking people, and everybody's afraid of people, or everybody's trying to, I don't know, justify some really weird shit. And it's just, and I don't let the stuff online get to me and stuff, but there's just so much misinformation out there about me right now. I'm just kind of like, I don't even know how to handle. I mean, that's why you don't see me on YouTube much. I think it's like breeding grounds for people just to that don't create content, to just try and take down content users or content people and all the work they put in, and create their own stories in their head to make themselves feel better. It's just some truth. Anyway, let's go in the collective. So, this is the shattered reality I keep talking about. We're seeing Saturn square Uranus this week on Wednesday. These are two very different energies. Saturn constricting and much more rule-abiding, and Uranus much more liberating and much more rebellious. But Uranus being in Taurus and Saturn being in Aquarius, while the sun's finishing in Aquarius, literally, like the day that the sun's finishing in Aquarius, it's still with Saturn, still with Jupiter, and still with the Mercury retrograde, and still with Venus. So there's a lot going on in Aquarius right now. And then there's this moment where Saturn squares Uranus and it breaks the reality. It shatters it. And it also is, like I said, it's like train tracks moving into a new direction. So when it comes to your love life, it's like, one, we've got to understand that all people right now are facing a challenge. Uranus is the collective. It's squaring Saturn. This is a collective moment that is difficult for the collective. Two, individuals, humans themselves as just individuals, each have their own set of challenges that they're all facing. There is no person on this planet right now that is not facing a challenge that is pretty intense. So some people are going to hit in some other areas, some people are going to, and so when you approach love this week, you got to realize, like, anybody trying to bullshit you and try and tell you like everything's fine, I'm fine in every way. That might be true, but there's more to it, and there's some challenges, and maybe some people are not as open as a book, right? Like, so it's like, one thing about Aquarius is it can feel detached, and one thing about Taurus is it can feel stubborn, right? So it's like there's this kind of stubbornness, detachedness, and we're all wanting connection. We're all wanting, that's the higher form of Aquarius, and then we all want the good stuff and the beauty and the physical elements of things, and that's the good part of Taurus. So it's like, there's these battles going on, especially in love right now, with Venus going to square Mars this week, with Mars in its detriment of Taurus, with Venus in Aquarius here. Again, more of that, are we sensation seeking or are we sensation de-seeking, and like almost like trying to avoid wanting to connect, like, or coming up with, excuses from stubborn things like, well, I just want to do this. This is what will make me feel good. But I can only feel good doing this myself. Like there's definitely a lot of like how to try to understand people, but also, who's going to like step up to the plate this week in life, just in general for all of us in the collective and individuals themselves that are going to want to, change this world by stepping into connection, by stepping through a lot of these different things. We're going to have the sun coming into Pisces this week and the end of Mercury retrograde, and I feel that this Pisces sun is definitely going to take a lot of the load off of Jupiter and Saturn and Venus that's going through there, and a Mercury retrograde. It's highlighting that energy so much, which is crazy, and it's trying to figure out all these pieces. But it's going to be like a magical story that can only come through release, that can only come through surrender. Yeah, were they trying to break in? Yeah, I have nothing against homeless people, I feel horrible for homeless people, but here at the studios, we have train tracks that are right along these studios here, and they're train tracks that they're only used like sometimes once a week, sometimes once a month. It's just a weird thing here in Huntington Beach, California, that they built a train track to move a bunch of like wood and logs and stuff, like to get all that weight like a mile down. And a homeless encampment that started with one person turned into two, turned into three, turned into four, turned into six, turned into 8. What was it? Huh?
The neighbors.
Oh, we just did get new neighbors too in another warehouse. And they do 24-hour shifts at that warehouse. So, but yeah, there's been some issues with the homeless here, and I have nothing against them, but I've had to like just go up to them and be like, yo, I'm cool, but like this has to stop. Like rummaging through the shit and then stealing shit and breaking into people's shit. And it's just, I mean, these are like, I looked at the world and, this will help maybe some people understand it from a Leo perspective, right? I looked at the world. I just got new neighbors in. Like, when you own a business, you have to pay for your own trash bins, right? And so they moved into their 25,000 square foot warehouse, and they dumped all their trash in my trash bin. So we had no way to put our trash bin, and we're building things here, and I have a big trash bin. And then I look behind that, and the homeless encampment has gotten crazy, and more drugs and more people and bikes showing up, and like homeboys like hanging out like as if like we found our home and doing shady shit. And I looked at the world and I'm like, this is very Aquarius. Like, it's not the light, like of love, you know, like it feels very foreign, and it feels very like, for me, it's just like, you know, like it's different. It's different. You know, and you see that continuing on even more in this last couple months because of all the Aquarius. Some people can, of course, want to get deep into the political aspects. I'm not here to do that tonight. But, you know, it's a rough world out there. And I think that this is a moment for us to realize it's foreign, it's different. We all have to find a way to get over our bullshit egos that are holding on to, you know, it's like vanity ego. It's like stubborn ego of like realizing that, you know, like, am I going to like let all that shit get to me out there, or even the way the world is, or the trash bin? I just was like, well, whatever. And then with the homeless thing, I set the main person straight. I was just like, yo, like, if you're going to be on that side of the tracks and I'm over here, like, this is the area I'm working my butt off to even have. Like, if you're going to go do your weird shit, go do it somewhere else, and I'll be cool, and I won't fucking bother you. And so there's going to be moments like that in relationships, right? Like, hey, and there's definitely a little bit of that, like, people are trying to circle back or look at old situations, especially with Mercury retrograde in Aquarius. And that finishes this weekend. Mars square Venus, people are definitely wanting to disconnect or connect. I mean, it's very uncertain. But the Pisces energy is going to teach us to learn to find empathy, and to find also at the same time, though, are you going to follow your gut? Because that's the only thing that we got. This is such a hard transit this week with Saturn square Uranus. I mean, that is just, there's no way to figure it out. There's no way of controlling anything. There's no way to make a decision based upon some sort of logical point of view. And then Mercury retrograde this whole weekend, it's, you know, motion that's slowing down, which gets to its stationary position and goes stationary retrograde to stationary direct and stops. So, you know, this is where we have to follow our gut. That Pisces energy is going to tell us to follow our intuition. It's with Neptune that's in Pisces. And then when you have Mars square Venus, you know, it's like, where are you not acting enough on maybe how to connect? Because Mars is detriment. It's slow in Taurus. And it gets too caught up in, I need this, I need that, I need that. And sometimes a connection is what builds things, opposed to having everything. I use the analogy of, it's like, you know what, I'm not going to be in a relationship till I'm able to, I don't know, lose 5 pounds. So I'm going to go do 20 weeks of this. It's like, well, what if somebody likes you the way that you are, like now? And it's everything that you've ever wanted. Like, people just create excuses too. And one thing about excuses, and excuses are ruled by Aquarius. There's an excuse why this science experiment went bad. There's an excuse why the rocket blew up. There's an excuse when you lose your impeachment case now, and that you're still won. Like, very Aquarius, and that's what this Aquarius energy is doing. And, you know, it's kind of showing where it's just, that's pretty crazy, and that's pretty insane. And I think that excuses come from where it's like, yeah, like, you know, like, because that's why the sun's a detriment. It does not like to be in Aquarius. Mars doesn't like to be in Taurus. The energy is a definition, defining things, while there's some pressure on Saturn in its home sign, being scored by Uranus, which is the planet that rules Aquarius. Yeah, it's like, this is a time where it's very hard to define things because people are afraid. People are afraid to define things. Most people are very afraid. Most people let the world define them. They let the media define them. They let Fauci define them. They let everything in the world define them. And you know, how's that going to work in love life for you when you're letting your excuses define you? You're letting your fears define you. You're letting all these things that make literal craziness be your trumpet of truth. Like, I mean, like, you know what I mean? Like, this is where you're going to have to really, like, see your own patterns, see that everybody's going through their stuff, and be compassionate, and also at the same time, like, know how to tap in. There's souls that get it. There's souls that don't. And this is where that line's got to be drawn now. Because at this point now, after everything that's happened, major things are going to have to shift. I don't know who that is. It just... Oh, it looks like maybe it was just the rain. No, there was just some person there. Or maybe that was Maya leaving. I don't think Anne locked the door. Sorry, like, again, Aquarius stuff, right? And that's the other weird part of when you have a homeless encampment by your business and you're running things. You have to keep the doors locked and every garage door, and between, there's a 13,000 square foot facility. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points of entry. And, they test things at night. They do weird shit like that. They're up all night fucking doing weird shit. And, very Aquarius. Aquarius rules homelessness and bums. And there's nothing wrong with them. But it's just like, they can take it too far too. Everybody can. People on the other side that are the most opposite of homeless can take it too far. But we have to learn to all have to like work together, So we all good? Yeah, no problem. Yeah, it was very weird actually. It was there was some guy with, what he did? This is so Aquarius too. The guy actually came to the front door and he used it because it's raining as a place for him to stay dry until he could figure out a ride or something. But then he ended up running in the rain and it's pouring and it didn't even work for him. So some people can do things that think, oh, I could figure this out. This will be the right place. And then it's like, wait, this is the worst idea I ever did. Because he went out of his way to try and go undercover. And then he ended to run longer in the rain. So, it's one of those things in life where I just think, just try and make things a lot simpler. Like Craig had to go move his car. Like, that's how weird things get lately. And it's one of those things in life where I've been just realizing as an astrologer, and I'll open up personally to you all, since one of the main reasons why I'm not doing things on YouTube. And I'm just like, I'm really like knowing I have to, it's just sad. It's just sad when you, I look at social media. To me has always been something that it's been an offering, a free offering, a gift to people. Not to serve myself, but just a gift to people. Like a place to give truth, a place to give these things. And now it's just turned into complete crazy stories. Just typing in my name now on Google, just over all the reality show years to every TV show to all the drama that people assume that my life has turned into because I'm so open about my life, has turned into just the most craziest stories where they're literally going, well, I saw this story on Instagram and da-da-da-da, and fucking just like everything from being called a white supremacist because I have an American flag to like, and it's not just like one person, right? We're talking about like forums. We're talking about like massive amounts to being conspiracy theorists. And one of the hardest things for me in trying to understand, because relationships are a lot more than love, right? And I have to show love. And one thing, UAC, which is United Astrology Conference 2018, I was not wanted there. Like even the boards were not wanting me there. And I got shot down to try and go help for free and like try and help them raise the awareness of astrology and do all this stuff. And I was like, whatever, I'll just buy a booth, and the biggest booth, and I'll interview other astrologers there. It was one of the best things I did. But you know, even with resistance, you just got to still show up and be who you are and try and shift people. And I think that, you know, it's difficult because now some of those people I interviewed are just sitting there and basically watching my stuff and without even having the balls to fucking call me out, right? Whatever they disagree with and what I say, like, paint this picture like they got it somewhere else, or they don't name who it is, but it's obviously clear as day. Yet they had no problem coming on my show and no problem, like, you know, but they've never done any of that shit for other people. They don't open their doors. They don't showcase. Like, this channel has shown literally over 100 guests over 9 years. And hundreds or thousands of different people in the crowds and the talks and just, you know, it's just sad. It just, you know what? I'm at a place where, you know, Aquarius is teaching me, you know, like, you can't bug out on the world and bug out on people just because people bug you out. But at the same token, just like, you know, there's a lot of people who, and I can understand, that don't put in the work, that don't have an ability to define their own truth through spirit and whatever spirit is giving them, and follow the stories that are being projected on a television screen and in our phones and the media. And while tearing down the people that tried to bring them up. And that's, I think, the hardest thing to see, because we can see that in love too. You could be in a relationship and you're being torn down, and all you're trying to do is lift someone up, and they just keep tearing you down. And I don't want people to have to go through that. And you know, Aquarius also is kind of and Pisces is the outer realms, but it's also the energy of where people kind of leech on for the free ride. People rebel because they feel things are unfair, and they might take an idea which might have some truth to it, but then apply it to people that are their brothers and sisters, and not realize that they were there for you and they were doing things for you, and they'll turn your back on you. And it creates a feeding frenzy, especially with Taurus and Aquarius squares, of people who are just desperate, and it creates desperation. And when people are desperate, they'll do fucking crazy shit. And it saddens me, because desperation is something that you choose to go into. So.
Yeah, it almost reminds me of the times, like, I was watching one of those, you know, like Pablo Escobar things or whatever it is on Netflix. Thought I clicked to me, but it's kind of like the power vacuum, you know. And we touched on this in full disclosure, you know, when it's like they feel like maybe the individual's up at top, you know, or in a weak moment. And this is any part of life, you know, and you see that it's kind of like that attacking, because they're trying to get there. They're trying to get theirs, which is great, you know, that taking that initiative, you know, and wanting to make a name for yourself and putting in the work to do it is all great things, but it's got to be the right vibe back behind it, you know. If it's from fucking trickster energy, at the end of the day, it's going to catch up to you one way or another, you know. So hopefully a lot of people can work their way out of that aspect and do it by building themselves up, by not chopping people down. You know, there's so much information to get out. There's so many positive thoughts to get out, and there's so much hard work that you can showcase. But come from a right spot when you're doing it. Don't come from trying to pull individuals down. Don't try to pull them down to your level. You know, let them succeed in what they're doing. Let them continue to be doing right, you know. So, yeah.
Yeah, somebody here put, some shady sorcery.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, I would say that's what it is.
True,
and you know, it's funny because you always will see at the beginning of these videos, like, you woke yet? Like, I don't think people get it. Like, that's a joke on those people that say woke. Like, it wakes people up to kind of be like, so what woke, right? Like there's always a counterfeit version of the truth right now. It's awakening, not just being woke. Woke is so low. Like, you woke yet? Like, I'm feeling woke because I'm doing this thing that I'm justifying the right thing and the righteousness. Have you had that convo with God yet? Are you doing that in your own life? Because that's what we're seeing right now. And that's, I think, the beauty of Aquarius. And you might find that in partnerships right now a lot, right? The people that are out saying they're doing the righteous thing, and it's like they don't even know how to be righteous to people in their own life. Yet they're trying to project that whole, I'm so righteous and I'm doing the right thing for the people and all this shit and this group and this group and that group and this. It's like, really? Like, do you even know how to do that for yourself? And there's always a ton of people behind them that are like, this motherfucker ain't righteous. Like, what the fuck? Like, and people are following those people. And what's crazy to me, after the impeachment hearing that happened this weekend and the acquittal, was that the media just continued to push the lies. It was like, okay, like, let's just take simple shit. Whether you like the former president or not, motherfucker was acquitted. Okay, imagine if you were found non guilty and the media was still trying to say you did it. Put it on yourself. That's what Hermeticism is. So you might have a partner right now that, like, you know you're in your truth. The universe showed it, but they don't want to believe it. That's South Node and Sag. And that's moving into Pisces with the square to the moon and with the Mercury retrograde happening. This is going to be crazy town. And it already has been crazy town, and it continues to become more crazy town. These Saturn-Uranus squares are going to happen all year. And I'm just preparing people for it. And it goes crazy town when the sun is in Pisces and the moon quarter squares it in Gemini, while Mercury's retrograde with the North Node in Gemini, the dispositor of it. Crazy. So prepare for a week of craziness. Prepare for, now crazy can go good, but it could also, you know, anything that anybody feels like they're in that sure footing. And I'll say that one more week, because this is that really extreme moment of that whole, like, anybody who's in that, like, Taurus, Mars, especially getting squared by Venus, or that Taurus, Uranus getting squared by Saturn, both in Aquarius, right? It's like anybody who thinks that they're so sure is just going to be just devastated because they're choosing to be in devastation, because they're not able to see that there is an unclarity, which is not that you can't see so much, but the unclarity is the uncertainty that you're afraid to step into, which uncertainty can actually be looked at as liberation, the liberation to see all possibilities. So let's see what's in this collective reading for...
Come on down.
Come on down.
What an exciting night so far.
It's been, you know,
just the real deal. A real deal.
Yeah, you know, I don't know. I just it's not easy doing this light work, and especially now when you have these wannabe saying that they're fucking woke astrologers saying that it's called gaslight workers now, when I'm like, that's exactly what you're doing, bro. And putting down people who question anything now, anything, just calling it conspiracy and like acting like they know everything, when it's like they just like are desperate for views and desperate for attention. Knight of Swords upright is our first card for the collective in love. The Ten of Pentacles is our challenge card that we got here. Interesting. Our overall that we got is the Seven of Swords reversed. Seven of Swords reversed. Oh shit. Uh-oh. And our way we get through the challenge is the Nine of Wands upright. So this is this energy romantically wise where it's going to happen really fast, in or outs. Okay. Also could feel save the day energy. Knight of Swords tries to also fix things really quick. It tries to jump into things really quick. It's got to go in really quick. So it's a very masculine energy too. Like, I got to get in there and I'm going to go save the damsel in distress. And it's like the fireman. I got to go save the cat out of the tree. You know, or it's just like, I got to save myself from this horrible situation, or I am not going to go through this situation anymore. I'm going to change it. And this could be relationships coming quickly, fast together like lightning bolts, and repelling like lightning bolt. We got the challenges, the 10 of Pentacles. That there's issues in relationships right now in love that have to deal with this whole kind of like togetherness, because you know the 10 of Pentacles is where you build the castle, all the families together, everybody can build this, you know, unitedness together, and there's a challenge there. That there's something feeling off, that there's like something definitely missing to create. And when the 7 of Swords is reversed as the overall, it's like pulling yourself out of lies, deceit. Look at being barcoded and being like manipulated and being, you know, like, so there's a lot of this, like anybody who you just feel like it's a lie, or it just is the big lie, like this is the overall of like letting go of the lie, letting go of like the bullshit. And this 9 of Wands shows up to help to get you through this 10 of Pentacles. And it's like, are you trying to defend and hold something that's this false illusion in the mirror that you are in something wholesome when you're really not? Like, this is going to be a big wake up that's going to happen. And, you know, that's why I feel this Knight of Swords is coming in so quick to rattle the cages, or go into the excitement, or exit the hell fast. Like, this is fast. This is not, you know, let's talk and then let's walk and let's talk for a month and no. Either A, this is an instant connection this week, or it's an instant, it doesn't matter how long it was built, could be destroyed instantly, just like what's happening? Or it finds crazy solutions to problems fast. But does it solve the problem of wholesomeness when there's deceits and there's lies, there's manipulation? Why do we get this Knight of Swords? We got the World card reversed. So, yeah, I mean, hate to say it, folks. This World card reversed is not, it's almost like we don't want to circle back into something. You know, we also want to try and find the world that we want, and we want to do it really quick. And I would say on exits, it's more like, you know, it's because you've been too afraid to deal with situations that you're ready to just fucking, at this point, you just like jump, because you just let it get to a point where you can't reset to a new system. But we also might not want to continue the wheel. We might not want to continue around in certain places. And one thing you want to pay attention to by jumping in or out of a situation this week is like, is your worlds aligned? Do they make sense? Why did the lie come up? Queen of Pentacles. Yeah, I would say that it's like you're going to see through partnerships or new partnerships, you know, the falsities of what has been able to be created, or the self-worth energy, or what is promised, or what is able to be actually physically done. People who have a lot of like inner issues with their values are going to show what they do to lie to try and hold together that, you know, image of themselves, that ability to, oh, I can create for you. It reminds me of sugar daddies, like, oh yeah, I got you. But you know, like the second the pandemic hits, right? It's like, oh no, I don't need you anymore. I got to go back to my real wife and my kids. You know, it's like shit like that. Or it's like, you know, people who say that they're all this and that, and they're not, you know, and that's a little difficult. We got the Pluto card. I mean, this is going to be intense. This is going to be deep. It's going to cut to the deepest parts of who we are. Now, it could form a massive amount of transformation, of course, but that also comes with also connection or disconnection in a deep way. And so this is going to be pretty intense, just in the sense of, wow, you're coming into a place where it's either all in or all out, you know, especially that's aligned up with the Knight of Swords and the World card reversed. Your other overall from the Oracle here is trust. Are there trust issues going on about the wholesomeness and the illusion of what you're trying to hold on to defending? Especially that we got the lie over here. That's going to be the interesting part. You have to trust in the transformational process and the truth. And I think it's not about trust of the other person or stuff like that, or trust. It's just like this overall trust that transformation's happening and that you know it feels right because it feels like it's going to be wholesome, and it feels like, you know, you don't have some sort of wall up, or you're too afraid to, you know, kind of like go deep and face it and see if it really is wholesome or not, and really see if it has it all. And this is going to be the most interesting, the shadow card that comes up here with the Seven of Swords reversed with this Queen of Pentacles. And we got the black flower fragrance. It's like there's illusionary, like deceptive attraction effects happening, right? Like kind of trying to reel people in to stay or to come in, or, you know, like I feel like, you know, it's like I think that you've fallen for the false scent, or you can smell the false scent, and it's like, don't go into that false scent energy. Like, don't even fuck around with it. It's not worth it. It's not going to take you into the best place. And I think that this is us, you know, smelling the shit, smelling the real shit, and being like, you know what, I don't know if I want to continue doing that, or, you know what, you look interesting, you look intriguing, but I can see through the bullshit right now. Like, we got Libra, 11th house, Mars. So, I mean, this is definitely going to be a full look at every little aspect of what we want to move into, or what we want to define a relationship life with. It is a little difficult though, because with Mars and Libra, it's a detriment, and it's a very like kind of needs to be pushed into things energy, right? So like somebody, like a friend might like help push you in the right direction this week. Like, hey, they might hit you up this week and be like, Leo, like, I heard your boyfriend like fucking trying to throw you out the window. Like, you know what I mean? Like, maybe it's time to go. Or
yeah,
like,
definitely time to go if that happens.
well, or, you know, they know things about that person too. Like, hey, listen, but again, you don't want to get into hearsay, but it's like, you know, there's like personal, you know, gossip comes up with this. Gossip of the new exciting connection, to gossip of, you know, what help do you need to get through this? There's a lot of that this week.
I think there's a need for tapping into our own self-power too, and kind of stepping out of our comfort zone, but stepping into the knowingness of our self-worth, you know, and actually having confidence in that self-worth. Because it's one thing to kind of like say it, you know, that you're a strong individual, or that you know your worth even. But actually, like when it comes down to the deepness of ourselves, you know, are we being real and 100% with ourselves? And are we actually putting that effort into standing true and standing strong, you know, and being positive when it comes to an outlook, you know, that we're going to be faced with? How you react is really going to, you know, change the trajectory of where it's going to take you. And if you can have that strong conviction in knowing yourself, it doesn't really matter what's going to happen, because you know you're going to have that ability to stand strong no matter what.